My Papa al Pomodoro, a deliciously simple rustic soup that elevates humble store cupboard ingredients to the next level. It's a soup, but probably not as some of us know it. It's a thick Tuscan bread soup. Using tinned plum tomatoes, garlic, fresh basil, stale ciabatta, and Parmesan cheese for grating. To savour and enjoy a hot steaming bowl of Papa Pomodoro, it's a joyous thing. So let's make it. It is the kind of ultimate quick and easy. The beginning of the flavour is with olive oil going in a pan. A tablespoon goes in, we put it on a medium heat, and then nice, fat, juicy cloves of garlic. So 4 of those. Peel the garlic cloves, and then finely slice the garlic. We'll slowly bring it to a gentle fry. Slicing them is important because if you chop them or if you crush them, it wouldn't be the same. I'm going to go to basil. You want a bunch of basil or 8 nice sprigs. And I love that process of like picking the delicate little leaves for sprinkling and then the stalks. Finely slice those. They're absolutely full of flavour. Into the pan it goes. I don't want colour on this garlic. I want it to be gentle and mild. I'm then going to tear in the basil. And you normally only put basil into a sauce when it's finished. But in a funny sort of way, we've started it, but it's nearly finished. I'm going to use 2 tins of really good tomatoes. It's worth paying, you know, a little bit extra for organic tomatoes because this dish is so cheap. So why not trade up? So the tin tomatoes go in. And you've got lovely big plum tomatoes. And then I'm going to fill up the tins with water here to get all that lovely flavour out. But also, we want to loosen this tomato sauce so that we're making a nice base for the bread, which is going to absorb it all. I'll turn the heat up now and use a little masher to just gently crush these tomatoes. And Papa means crushed, mashed. Papa Pomodoro to Italians is kind of like one of the first foods you give a child that you're kind of weaning, you know, but then teenagers and adults love it just as much. And I guess it's kind of like nostalgia. As this comes to a boil, let's get on to the next stage. We're taking our ciabatta out and tear the bread into it. And stale bread, even better. You can make this with fresh bread, but it's never the same. It is kind of nice, it's more creamy, but when you use dry bread, it's more savoury, it's more fulfilling, and the flavours feel just a bit bigger. This is really clean, wholesome, healthy, delicious food. Stir that in, and then let the movement of the blip, blip, blip sort it out. Just turn it right down, 5 minutes, and then I'll show you how to serve it up. Season that with a little sea salt, a little black pepper. Completely transformed. If you want to nick a few more basil leaves, you can just tear a few more through. And then, last but not least, 30, 40 grams of Parmesan. The Parmesan just helps prop up this soup, gives it a nice seasoning. And we're going to take this bowl and we're going to fill it up. Look at the consistency. It's absolutely joyful. There we go. A simple, glorious soup. Finish your Papa al Pomodoro with a few final basil leaves and a drizzle of cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. This is really what makes this soup. Gives it that shine and that flavour. Beautiful. Let's try it. If you make it with great bread and great oil and great tomatoes, it becomes like a stodgy bowl of luxury, something really amazing and beautiful and artisan. That is my happy place. Comfort heaven. The ultimate quick and easy comforting dish, using humble store cupboard ingredients elevated into a heavenly hearty soup. Next up, my amazing tomato soup, Mexico style. Soups can take time, all that simmering and stewing, but I'll show you how we can make one that's healthy and flavour-filled in no time at all. We're talking a gorgeous homemade Mexican tomato soup, spiked at the table with a kicking jalapeno yogurt. Plus, loads of garnishes that people can mix and match in their own bowls. And a platter of crowd-pleasing cheesy nachos. Lovely. A fantastic everyday dish, perfect for lunch or dinner, and all in 15 minutes. I grew up loving, the classic tomato soup. And I love it, I really do. But of course, the tomato comes originally from South America. In my time in America with the Mexican communities, they'd make beautiful, beautiful tomato soups. And instead of having toast or croutons, they have little tortillas and lovely little garnishes. So I wanted to bring a little bit of sunshine back to Essex today and make a lovely, lovely soup. So, of course, it's 15-minute meal. So I've got my kettle boiled, I've got my pan on, I've got my grill heated up. Also, to speed up time, instead of sweating off white or red onions, I'm using spring onions here that cook much, much quicker. So I just want to save back a couple of spring onions for garnish. So we've got 4 spring onions. Just hack these up, just roughly, any old how. In the pan, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. We've got no time to sort of muck about here. So straight in with frying. We're going to have some coriander stalks here. I want to use the lovely leaf here for garnishes and doing nice things later. So just rip that off. And then here is the stalk. Nothing wrong with that at all. So that goes in as well. Get me tongs, give it a little stir up. And then to start to get the flavours really going, I want 4 nice cloves of garlic. Just break those off. In 15-minute meals, and actually, frankly, even at home, I can't be bothered to sit there peeling and prepping garlic. Put it in with the skins on and then just squeeze it straight through. So that's a nice little trick there. So out it comes, get rid of the skin, in the bin, happy days. So garlic, spring onions, coriander, a brilliant trick for really big, ripe, sort of sun-blushed flavour is these. You can get these jars of blackened roasted peppers, right? You can get them in all the supermarkets. And you want a whole jar, 450 grams. Just chuck the whole thing in, right? Somebody else, bless them, has gone to the trouble of roasting them and then peeling them. And they're absolutely gorgeous. The juice they come in is absolutely, it's sweet, it's charred. So we mix in those gorgeous peppers and then tinned tomatoes. The lovely thing about tinned tomatoes is they're always harvested at a great time of year and they're great value for money and they're already cooked. So for 15-minute meals, no mucking about. And then I just want to top it up. I want about 800 millilitres of boiling water from my kettle. So just top that up. It's on full whack. I'm going to give it a little bit of seasoning and then I have another little trick. Now, to be honest, the Mexican communities are not going to be throwing loads of cream in that. But in sort of European tastes, the first thing that we do to enrich the soup towards the end is putting in cream. And absolutely, what I'm trying to do with 15-minute meals is make it everyday food that hasn't got calories going through the roof. So what I'm using is, where's my little pack here? Some rice. 80 grams of rice, just pretty much a handful. When you liquidize that up, right, it's going to go starchy and creamy, and it's going to give you those same sort of comforting emotions that cream will give you as well. So there you go, all of that in there, lid on, soup is done, and I can guarantee you it will be delicious. I'll leave that for about 8 minutes so the rice will cook. Now, I want some Mexican-style garnishes and crunchy tortillas to give some great texture and pack in some punch. So I've got some green and red chilies here. I'm just going to finely slice those. I'm just using the rocking action here, so fingers are tucked in. So I've got some chilies there. I had the spring onions from earlier that I reserved. Do exactly the same thing as well. Also, I'm using feta cheese, just 30 grams, in a little pile, maybe in between the chili. Just crumble it up. It's kind of like a seasoning. This is not, the old-fashioned tomato soup. This is 15-minute meals Mexican tomato soup. Something a bit different. Coriander over there. Just a couple of cherry tomatoes. And I'm just going to quarter them, if you can be bothered, or half them. I'm going to puree this soup up, But the fact is, that these little garnishes mean that you can kind of make it chunky again. So little piles around here, you know, absolutely gorgeous. I've got some tortilla crisps here. 175 grams is more than enough. And just lay them out like this. Get yourself some nice cheddar. I'm just going to get an old-fashioned box grater and just do nice, long strokes on top of the tortilla. Just 50 grams. You know, I want to get your dairy in there. I want it to be gorgeous and sumptuous. At the same time, I don't want the calories going through the roof. I'm going to sprinkle from a height those leftover red and green chilies. So there you go. Looking good. So just pop those in the oven for about 3 or 4 minutes, just for the cheese just to ooze over it. Heat up the tortillas, make them really crisp. My soup only needs a few more minutes before it will be ready to blend. So for a final flavour flourish, I want to create a spiked yoghurt that will really spank it up. I'm going to liquidize this with a few refreshing ingredients. About 250 mils of yoghurt, 0 fat. And I'm going to bring it alive with a fantastic herb, mint. So just half a bunch here. In 15-minute meals, we haven't got time to pick mint all delicately. Just go to the top like that. They're all soft, all usable. Just twist that off. Nothing wrong with that. That goes straight in. The other ingredient that we've got is jalapeno. Fairly hot. I want 2 heaped teaspoons of these. And we're going to make this a live, fragrant, gorgeous, flavoured yoghurt that we can drizzle into the soup. It's so good. And we're just going to liquidize it all up so it's like a green sauce. Look at the colour changing. Have a little taste. If you want to put some more chilli in there, actually that's pretty good. You can. So wazz that up. It's a beautiful sort of pastel green colour. All the bubbles have come out of it as well. I'm just going to grab a nice little bowl, you know, to serve this. Let's just pour that in. Look at that. This jalapeno yogurt is super tasty and guilt-free. Frankly, it's good on anything. Right, let's check on this soup. Lovely. That's easily cooked. I'm going to use the same blender and start blending this up. The nice thing about the blender, of course, is you can control. You're seeing it and you're blending it up. And you can adjust the texture to the way that you like it. You know, I might add a little bit of water to this. So just whiz that up. Let's have a little taste. Woo! Hot. Add a little bit more water to thin it out a little bit. Or you might like it really thick. I'm just going to adjust that. Give it a little stir up. Happy days. That's a lovely, lovely soup. And I've kind of, it's smooth, but I left some nice little chunks in there as well. So it's a little bit, you know, still a little bit rustic, but really nice. The thing that I really want to do is season this with a little lime, right? And that might be very unusual to us, but it really works. It's like a little bit of brightness in the soup. This is a Mexican tomato soup, do you know what I mean? It's got spice, the sweetness of the peppers. Let's have another little try. Oh, my Lord. So good. So good. So we're going to go in with that. How nice is that? Let's go and get our tortillas. OK, so we've got those lovely tortillas. Crispy. Let's push them in there. And we're done. Cheesy tortillas, hot fresh soup, and our amazing tasty extras. What a spread. I'll add some avocado curls, which I can also pop in my Mexican soup. Delish. You can pimp it up, you know, you can spice it up, you can really do what you want, and I like that. And finally, swirl in the jalapeno and mint yogurt. People can add more if they want extra kick. Build your own soup. Absolutely gorgeous. A fantastic Mexican-inspired dish for 4 in just 15 minutes. Arriba! Fill the bowl with those tortillas and you can put in some of those extra ingredients, a little bit of the avocado, coriander, and then on top of that, go in and get this beautiful, hot, wonderful Mexican tomato soup. But there you've got a really wholesome, delicious soup. Something very different, full of fresh ingredients. Beautiful stuff. Right, so I'm going to do a beautiful pumpkin soup. You could use any good dense pumpkin you like. I'm using the Musc de Provence. You could use the onion squash, the butternut squash, whatever you feel might be appropriate. Give it a bash. Slice this up into big old flabs. Push that just to one side. Here I've got some basic soup ingredients. Couple of carrots, couple of garlic cloves, couple of onions, couple of celery sticks. And that is the base to the soup. I want to roughly chop the celery because I'm going to puree this soup. I'm going to whiz it up with a hand blender so it's nice and silky. So at the end of the day, if it's a little bit chunky, it really doesn't matter. Onion, cut it in half. Just roughly slice it again. I'm using the red onion because I just prefer the flavour of them, but you know, you can use white ones if you want. So in this pan, I'm going to pour some olive oil and in with the onions and celery. So get that over there, that will start sweating off. Woo-hoo-hoo. So with the carrots, do exactly the same, slice them up, and then with the garlic, run your knife through it like that. In with the carrots and the garlic. And while we're here, rosemary, just the nice little fine leaves. A little pinch of salt and pepper. Give it a shake. Straight back on the heat again. So while that's ticking away, I want to just chop these pumpkin pieces into chunks. Now, I want about 3 kilos. And I'm going to cook it today in a pressure cooker. You can do it in a pan, of course you can. And you'd want to simmer it with chicken stock for half an hour, 40 minutes. But this way, with a pressure cooker, so quick. Like that. So throw it all in to this base vegetables. And once you've got the squash in there, get it back over to the heat. Pour in 2 litres of chicken stock. Just fill it up to about 1 inch from the top. With the pressure cooker, I mean, so far it looks like a normal pan. You could put a lid on top. With this one, you've got a special lid. Press the button. It will clutch onto it. It will keep all the boiling moisture in, so the pressure will get higher and higher and higher, which basically means that it pushes flavour into things and it cooks things 2-3 times as quick. Now, while this is coming to the boil, I want to have a little bit of a rework on kind of a crouton, really. So I'm going to go much more Italian style-y. I want a slice of the ciabatta, like that. I've got a pan here that's been heating up. A little bit of olive oil in the pan. Okay. And I'm just going to pick some sage. Pick the sage leaves in. 40 seconds. The room starts to smell incredible. Give them a good old fry up. As soon as you think they've gone crispy and they go a slightly darker green colour, bring it over here. Push it off one side, just like that, onto the board, like that. Now, in here, you've got left some olive oil, right? But it will taste incredible now. So then you can get your ciabatta, turn it around in the oil, take it out. Turn it around in the oil, take it out. Right, so that's going to flavour your toast. Get rid of the oil. I'm going to put that back on the heat. And then while this is here, I want to get some Parmesan. And I'm going to grate it. And that will stick to the oil and stick to the bread. And then you can kind of pat it down. And then turn it over. Pat. And once you've done that, then we can put this back into the pan dry. Like a minute or so, and it will just go golden on both sides. And you can see this is boiling now. So once the toast has been in there a little bit, you can turn them round. Just turn it over. Lovely colour. You can see how the cheese is just cooked into the bread and it's toasted all at the same time. It's like croutons with a bit of attitude, you know? This soup has had about 6 minutes boiling. Just going to release the steam. Let's get a nice blender. Plug it in. There you go. Look at that. So we check if the squash is cooked. There you go. Look, completely obliterated like that. Fantastic. Soup in 6 minutes. Waz it up. You can see it going from being chunky and brothy to little bits of silkiness coming up. We have a little taste. Needs work. Seasoning, salt and pepper, and then I'll give it another waz. Taste again. Tiny little bit more. And that is an incredible soup. Really, really good. Really pleased with that. And then to serve it, in a nice bowl, put a crostini at the middle, push it down, right? And then you can put one sticking out like that. Just pour it in there, in the middle. And that, people are going to go crazy over those croutons. They're going to fight over them, so you might as well make sure you do double. And look at the colour of that beautiful soup. And that soup, that will soak in to the crostini. And then to finish it, a lovely crispy sage and a nice bit of good quality extra virgin olive oil. Nice. Right, I'm going to make one of the most incredible soups ever. And we've got a whole head of Savoy cabbage there. We've got a big handful of Cavolo Nero and a big handful of red and green curly kale. And I've cooked that in 2 litres of chicken stock, but you could do veggie stock if you want. So that's been boiling for about 5 minutes. And then bigging up Mr. Bread. Stale bread, just grilled on a griddle pan, or you could even roast it in the oven if you wanted to. A whole load, big stack of the bread like that. And when you get your bread like this, while it's hot, just get a piece of garlic and give it 2 rubs, and you'd be amazed at how much flavour that transmits. But there's a perfume of garlic there, which is lovely. I've got a tray in the oven, but what I want to do, get my tray here. I'm going to get 1 tin of about 14 anchovy fillets. Pour the oil in here first. Then I want about 12 rashers of nice pancetta. So just lay it in here. Normally I do this on a gas hob, but I'm outside. So I'm going to cover this tray with the bacon, and I'm going to put it back in the oven just to render and go crispy. But before I do that, these anchovy fillets here, oh, be careful when you take these off. Shake them out there. Just put the anchovies out and about, finding things out. And let's roast these babies up. Pop it back in the oven. Now, over here, I've got 2 cheeses. Fontina, which is a wonderful cheese. It's quite mild in flavour, but it has the most incredible melting qualities. It's all stringy and light and incredible. And then I've got good old Parmesan there, just for good flavour. I want 200 grams of Fontina, about 150 grams of Parmesan. Get this out of the way. And then, check this, you can hear it sizzling. Look at that. No time at all. Just have a look at it. You can see the anchovies have totally melted into nothing. The bacon's nice and crisp. At this point, get your greens straight in there. Now, I'm just literally coating it in all this lovely gear. Even if you're just serving this as a, veg dish, this is a fantastic way to do it. I'm cooking this in a casserole type pan, something of that ilk and that size. Get 4 bits or enough stale toasted bread to cover the bottom. And then we go, nice mixture of greens here. And we've got 1 whole Savoy cabbage, and we've got Cavolo Nero, and we've got some kale, purple and green. And then we put our cheese. And then I put a nice bit, sprinkling of the Fontina and a sprinkling of the Parmesan. And this is a great opportunity to have a little drizzly up of quality extra virgin olive oil. Right, so that goes there. A bit more bread on top. So it's like a lasagna, but instead of using pasta and mincemeat, you know, we're using nice garlic rub bread. Again, Savoy cabbage, in and around. You can chop this cabbage up if you want, but the way I've had it has always been quite crude. Fontina and a sprinkling of the Parmesan. And then we go more bread, cabbage. You can tear it up a bit if you want to. Cheese. Let's have a little bit more Fontina. Parmesan. Here we go. Last one on top. I'm going to use untoasted bread for this part. You can kind of push down on it like this, give it a bit of pressure. Okay, let's taste the stock. Give it a stir. It's gone a bit dark because you cooked the cabbage in it, but at least it's got the flavour. Pour this in there. There you go. And then what I'll do, just a tiny bit of cheese. There we go. A final bit of Parmesan. And then good lug of extra virgin olive oil. Nice sprinkling of pepper. At this point, if you want, you can just push this all into each other. Right, and as that cooks, that's going to cook for about 40 minutes at about 180 Celsius, 350 Fahrenheit. And what will happen is it'll go crunchy and golden on top, and then the water will just sort of suck into all the bread and the flavours are all mixed up and it'll be delicious. So I'm just going to put that at the back of the oven, give it about 40 minutes. Just look at that, fantastic. And you can see it's like a cross between like a bread and butter pudding and a French onion soup. Most of that water's cooked into the bread now. It's at about 35, 40 minutes. And if it gets too much colour, you know, you can put a bit of tin foil over the top, but look at that. Absolutely lovely. So put that there. Right, so one of the classic things to go with this is a sage butter. So I'm just going to get a nice big knob of butter straight in there. And then straight in with some sage leaves. Just take the leaves off. And you want to melt that butter. Just toss the sage in there. I'm going to put it straight back in the oven. That will take 30 seconds, 40 seconds to make that raw sage leaf go to being like snappy crisp and really meaty in flavour. Now let's plate these little darlings up. Don't go think this is going to be some kind of creamy soup or brothy soup. Don't go there. This is a bread soup. This is an Italian soup with attitude. I'm literally going to take a nice big clunk of this. Look at that. Beautiful. Get some of this. Lovely dark colour. Bit more. Check the sage. All right, and then all you do, you know, while the butter's nice and brown, but not dark, not black, just put the sage leaves around, a little bit of that butter, and a little grating of Parmesan. And that's it. Look at that. Oh my Lord, that is so good.
Next up, a deliciously creamy homemade mushroom soup. A great little recipe that's super easy but really rewarding. Rich, luxurious and healthy, with a clever little trick to cut down on that cream. And to go with it, my souped up, totally awesome melt-in-your-mouth crostinis with chestnut mushrooms, oozy Stilton, crunchy apple and walnuts. A wicked lunch or light supper for 4, all whipped up in just 15 minutes.
Okay, lovely people, in a world where getting your own soup is so easy from a pack or a tin or a jar, I just want to go old school and bring it back to making your own. It's so quick, so delicious, and cheap as chips.
So first up, peel 2 onions and chop them up roughly. These are going to create a sweet and caramelised base for the soup.
We're going to go into the pan with a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. Let's begin the story of some beautiful flavour. And I think, you know, I've got to be honest, like, you know, a lot of the soup companies these days are doing a great job. But I think, you know, it's just nice to bring it back, you know, and do your own, feel the ownership, you know, see the difference in sort of flavour when it's alive in your mouth. That's going to start intensifying. We're going to build the story on a good pinch of salt. We're going to build the story with some pepper. We're going to also just crumble in a stock cube, and that'll start melting into the onions. Herb-wise, a really good friend of Mr. Mushroom is thyme. Come and have a look at this. I've got some lovely thymes over here. Beautiful. And I know I'm a bit of an old hippie, but like growing your own herbs, even a little pot, you know, it smells good, it looks good. You can do it, you know, at the 34th floor of a block of flats on a windowsill. Just hold the stalk like that and pinch them off. If it wasn't for herbs, I'd give up cooking tomorrow because they just give incredible sort of definition and depth of flavour to dishes. Stir that in. The pan's on a fairly high heat, so it's cranking away, and we want to bring that colour out nice and quick. Also, I want to add some garlic. 4 cloves of garlic. So, got my garlic crusher here. Put the 3rd one through. When you're a junior chef, you always end up peeling all the veg, peeling all the garlic, peeling all the onions, doing all the rubbishy jobs. And the great thing about getting out of being a junior is you can get some poor commie chef to do all your peeling for you. So even chefs don't like peeling stuff.
I can leave the onions on to soften and develop that lovely sweetness, while I get cracking with the mushrooms. I'm using large portobellos to give this mushroom soup big flavour, and small chestnut mushrooms for the nutty supercharged crostinis.
I'm doing these little crostinis to go with the soup, you know, so we can eat them and dip them and do nice things to them. So I need 8. I'm going to get the mushroom like that and just quite harshly take the end off like that. Right, so just literally rattle through these. 3, 4. And these little tatty bits here, don't throw those away because they're going straight in the soup. And this griddle pan is nice and hot. I don't want any oil going anywhere near it. I'm going to grill these beautiful mushrooms, the chestnuts, and it's going to completely give you a different type of flavour. It's going to give you a wonderful sort of nutty flavour. So in here we're going to be, you know, frying and boiling mushrooms, which will be silky and smooth and like a nice little hug. And then over here we're grilling mushrooms to bring out the nuttiness, nice and firm, and you eat that with a crostini. It's going to be really, really good. So these scraps here, we can now throw those into our mushroom pan. The portobellos, you know, there's no point in cutting anything up. Just use your hands. You know, the best kitchen gadget in the kitchen. Scrunch them up, nice and rustic. Great flavours from mushrooms. You know, really good flavours. Stir these mushrooms in here. Now, here's the thing. When you cook mushrooms, you know, they're made up of a lot of water. So there's a kind of process that mushrooms go through where they're frying and they give off water, and it looks like they're almost boiling again, and then they come back to frying again. Boiling away that water is how you create the intense flavour. The easiest thing to make this soup delicious is go get double cream and go glug, 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 glug. The calories go through the roof. Then it's not every day, it's a treat. And actually, there's a brilliant little trick. You know, if I get 100 grams, about a big handful of rice, okay, and put that into this pan, right, when that cooks, and then when I liquidize that, it's going to be creamy and moorish and delicious, and it's going to give you all the sensations that cream gives you. So the rice goes in, and then I want to go in with 1 litre of boiling water there. So we haven't got to do any waiting. That'll come straight to the boil. We've created beautiful flavour. The rice is in there. We can even put a lid on there and get it turbocharging. So soup, pretty much done.
Give the chestnut mushrooms a turn to char them on both sides. That nutty flavour is going to be brilliant with those cheesy crostinis and that crunchy apple salad.
I just want 4 toasts. I'm going to cut them at an angle just to give them a nice shape, about 1 centimetre thick, like that. And then we're going to put this in the griddle pan. I want to continue with like a little mini sort of salad to go on top of the crostinis. I've got some old-fashioned curly parsley. I'm just going to very, very roughly chop it. And then just let me turn this toast over. There we go, look at that. Really nice. Okay, so that's looking good. I just need 1 apple, but I want to use half a green and half a red because it looks nice. So very carefully slice into matchsticks. And yeah, this is a little bit of technique, which, you know, I try and avoid technique too much, you know, precise chopping technique in 15-minute meals because it's all about speed. But actually, this is a nice, easy recipe. And absolutely, you can take a little bit of time and pride to slice up those halves of apple. You can see the thickness that we sliced them is roughly even. Do it the same thickness the other way. And then we've got this beautiful little apple matchsticks. So I'm not rushing at all. And then all I want to do is get some lemon juice. The red apple will start going black pretty soon, oxidizing. The green has got so much acidity it won't. So just squeeze some lemon juice over the apple, like that, and just toss that and the parsley in the lemon juice. Just a tablespoon of olive oil, and just dress the apple and the parsley, and that on top of the crostini is going to be brilliant. Come and have a look at this. Right, the toasts are done, okay? They're nice and golden. They're hot from the grill. That classic Italian technique of crostini. It's so simple and so humble. We get a regular garlic clove and we just cut it in half and just rub it. First time I went to Italy and this old woman was, you know, grilling off some toast on a barbecue and just rubbing it with garlic and drizzling it with olive oil, and that was it. And it was just so good. Once you've done that, I'm going to put the mushrooms on our little toasts here. And then I have a little treat. I'm going to use a nice little bit of blue cheese. You know, I've got a beautiful Stilton here. You could use any lovely blue cheese that you want, but look at that, absolutely gorgeous. All I need is 50 grams.
Place that gorgeous cheese on top of the toast and crumble over some crunchy walnuts.
We're actually putting quite a lot of effort into the toast. But I like that. You know, it feels like we're kind of like bigging up soup, you know, to being a little bit more important. And it's homemade, it's got love in it, so it should be. So that goes straight under the grill, just to melt that cheese. So the toasties are in the oven. They'll take a couple of minutes just to sort of sag and melt, and the cheese just goes over the toast and the mushroom. We got a soup here that's boiling like the clappers. So, you know, the rice is going to be pretty much cooked. I'm going to use a hand blender. So the nice thing about this is with the blender, you can see exactly what's going on. So if you want to take it to super smooth, you can. If you want to make it chunky, you can. If you want half and half, you can. Look at that. Nice. So look, we've taken it quite fine there. What I love about this is the transformation of quite chunky, crude stuff to this beautiful soup. And also, it's that rice in there that's making it go pale and kind of like silky and smooth. It's a wonderful little trick, it really is. So let's have a little taste. That is damn good.
So time to serve up. Grab those hot, cheesy crostinis out of the grill.
Look at these little bad boys. Come on. Love our little toasties.
Then finish them off with that fresh, crispy parsley and apple matchstick salad. We're not dressing up posh food, we're dressing up a soup. Do you know what I mean? We're making a bit more of a meal out of it, which I like. Then the last thing I'm going to do is just nod to the old cream. Just drizzle that on the top. There we go. Look at that. And the last secret ingredient, some truffle oil. You only need literally half a teaspoon. Sitting on the top of the soup like that, there'll be a really delicate sort of fragrant pong. So you stir that through the soup. It's so, so good. A delicious, healthy homemade mushroom soup with Stilton apple and walnut crostinis. Super simple, super speedy, and ready to eat in 15 minutes. The question is, this crostini is so good, do I dare dip it or just go straight? I'm going for a half dip, apple and mushroom extravaganza. Oh my God, that is so, that is so good. Let's go for a slightly deeper dip on this one. Let's up our game. I can't guarantee that I'm going to eat this and not look like 20 seconds to tell you about my brand new book, Jamie's 20-Minute Meals. Of course, it's meals that are cooked in 20 minutes. No kind of shortcuts. Like when we did the filming, it's all in one take, no edits, and it's just beautiful, delicious, nutritious meals, colorful, textural food from all around the world that you can give to your family in 20 minutes.